Good morning, friends. I'm Jyoti Hikar, and today I'm going to talk about the human heart. Let's start. Firstly, we see what is human heart. The human heart is a muscular organ that is about our size of a fist. It pumps blood throughout a set of connection between arteries and veins, known as the cardiovascular system. It involves in a systemic circulation and pulmonary circulation. In human body, it consists double circulation. The cardiac cycle, the definition of cardiac cycle is the cardiac cycle refers to the sequence of event that take place when the heart beats. What is Firstly we see the what is cardiac cycle. The cardiac cycle attributes to a compressive heartbeat from its production to the commencement of the next beat. It comprises diastole and systole, and the intervening pause. The occurrence of a cardiac cycle is illustrated by heart rate, which is naturally indicated as beats per minute. A healthy human heart beats 72 times per minute, which states that there are 72 cardiac cycle per minute. The cardiac cycle involves a complete contraction and relaxation of both atria and ventricles, and the cycle lasts approximately for point 0.8 seconds. Then we um, then we go forward to a cardiac cycle diagram. The diagram represents the different phases of a cardiac cycle: the atrial systole, ventricular systole, diastole, ventricular diastole, and clearly mentioned in cardiac cycle diagram that are available on Google. The cardiac cycle physiology. The human heart consists of four chambers comprising left and right halves, uh, means parts. The two upper chamber includes left atria and right atria, and two lower chambers include left ventricle and right ventricle. The lower two chambers include right and left ventricles. The key function of a right ventricle is to pump deoxygenated blood through the pulmonary arteries and pulmonary trunk to the lungs, while the left ventricle is responsible for pumping newly oxygenated blood to the body throughout the aorta. Then we go forward to cardiac cycle phases. The different phases occurs in a cardiac cycles that are all. The first is diastole. Arterial diastole. In this stage, chambers of the hearts are calm. That is when the aortic wall and pulmonary artery close and atrioventricular walls open. This the causing chambers of the heart is to get relaxed. Second is atrial systole. In atrial systole, in this phase, blood cell flow from atrium to the ventricles, and at this period, atrium gets contracts. It is the atrial systole phase. And then third one is isovolumeric contraction. And then isovolumic contraction, in this stage the ventricles begins to contract. The atrioventricular walls and pulmonary artery, then normal walls and pulmonary artery walls closes, but there won't be any transformation in a volume. Then the fourth one is a ventricular ejection. In that ventricular ejection, here ventricles are contract and emptying pulmonary artery and aortic walls, then closes. Then we go forward to the fifth one, that is the isovolumic relaxation. In this phase, no blood enters in the ventricles, and consequently pressure is get decreases. Ventricle stops contracting and begins to relax. Now, due to a pressure in aorta, pulmonary artery and aortic walls are getting closed. Then the last one is ventricular filling stage. In this stage, blood flow from atria into the ventricles, and it is altogether known as one stage, that is the first and second stage. After that, there are three phases that involves the flow of blood and pulmonary artery from a ventricles. Then then we then we see a cardiac output. In a cardiac output refers the volume of blood pumped out per ventricle per minute. Cardiac output is a function of a heart rate and a stroke volume. The amount of blood pumped by a left ventricle in a one compression is called the stroke volume. The cardiac output is an excellent example to exhibit the efficacy of a human heart. It is related to the amount of blood pumped by a heart per minute. A normal cardiac output would be about 5 liters of blood per minute in healthy adults or healthy individuals. The cardiac output comprises two vital components that are heart rate and stroke volume. So the heart rate, it refers to the number of times heart beats per minute. In short, it is known as BPM, blood pressure per minute. Then second one is stroke volume. In the stroke volume, it refers to the quantity of blood pumped out of each ventricle with every heartbeat. Then we go forward to the factors determining the cardiac output. The factors affecting the cardiac output of a human heart, that are: first is a venous return. In a venous return, this is the amount of blood that enters the heart through the vein per minute. After a certain time interval, the venous returns become equal to the cardiac output. Then second one is a force of contraction. In a force of contraction, the stroke volume and cardiac output increases with the increase in a force of a contraction. Then third one is a heart rate. The cardiac output increases with the increase in heart rate. And then we see the cardiac output formula. The equation of cardiac output is the heart rate into stroke volume. The then we see the cardiac output calculation. For example, if the heart rate is 70 bpm and stroke volume is 70 ml, using the formula heart rate into stroke volume, that is, the next equation is 70 into 70, means 4900 ml per minute, or a 4.9 liter per minute. Then we see the cardiac output measurement. There are different merits and demerits of measuring a cardiac output using a methods in an invasive and a non-invasive manners. There is a no standard at present there is a no standard comparison system available for these methods using a reference method measurement or a standards. The invasive systems are well accepted, but there is a progressive evidence that these systems are neither accurate or effective in guiding therapy. Some of the methods to measure a cardiac output are Doppler ultrasound, then echocardiography, transcutaneous and transesophageal. Then the low output results in a heart failure, a severe infection, or a heart disease. The high output may be in a indicator of a blood infection. Then we see the cardiac index. In a cardiac index is defined as the cardiac output divided by the body surface area. It is a hemodynamic parameter that relates the cardiac output from left ventricle in a 1 minute to the body surface. The cardiac index equals to cardiac output upon or divided by body surface area. The stroke volume index is the stroke volume divided by the body surface area. The, uh, then we see Then we see the duration of a cardiac cycle. In a normal person, the heartbeat is 72 beats per minute. So the duration of one cardiac cycle can be calculated as one divided by 72 beats divided by a minute equals to 0.0139 minutes per beat. At a heartbeat 72 beats per minute, the duration of each cardiac cycle will be a zero point 0.8 second. The duration of a different stages of a cardiac cycle are atrial systole continues for a zero point 0.1 second, then ventricular systole continues for about 0.3 seconds, then atrial diastole it continues about for zero point 0.7 second, and ventricular diastole it is continuous for about 0.5 seconds. Thank you.